Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Hurricane Erin growing in size, now threatening the East Coast with massive waves and dangerous rip currents. Mandatory evacuations and tropical storm warnings issued for the Outer Banks. A tropical storm watch just issued as far north as Virginia. Forecasters warning of destructive waves up to 20 feet high. New York City shutting down beaches at the height of the summer season. New Jersey's governor warning people to stay out of the water. Dozens rescued from the rough surf. New video showing hurricane hunters flying into the storm. Victor Oquendo from the Outer Banks. Ginger Zee tracking the hurricane's next move. The video just coming in of a powerful explosion rocking a North Carolina community. Debris filling the sky. Firefighters inside a building at the time of the blast. What we're learning about their conditions tonight. 24 hours after that extraordinary meeting at the White House, President Trump today ruling out American boots on the ground in Ukraine. Russia launching new attacks despite the push for peace. Will Vladimir Putin agree to meet with President Zelensky? In the West tonight, the urgent search for a missing baby intensifies. The boy's mother pleading for his return, claiming he was kidnapped. Police now say the mother's no longer cooperating as they search the family home. Chaos at a New York beach, a dust devil sending beach equipment flying, and children racing for cover. President Trump escalating his attacks on museums, slamming the Smithsonian, saying there's too much focus on, quote, how bad slavery was. Jon Karl standing by. The narrow escape for two food influencers, an SUV crashing into a restaurant as they were filming. And America Strong tonight, the long-lost, cherished gift to a father, found more than a decade later, hundreds of miles away. And you'll never guess how it was discovered.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us on a busy Tuesday night. I'm Mary Bruce in for David. We begin tonight with Hurricane Erin racing along the East Coast. North Carolina declaring a state of emergency. High surf and rip current alerts now posted from Florida to the Northeast. The storm now a Category 2 hurricane with winds up to 105 miles per hour. Its track running parallel to the coast, getting close enough to potentially cause serious damage. Dangerous surf already hitting the Carolinas. The hurricane expected to produce waves up to 20 feet high and a storm surge up to 4 feet, possibly flooding some highways. Residents and tourists in the Outer Banks under mandatory evacuation orders. Heavy rain and strong winds expected by tomorrow night. New Jersey posting red flags along its beaches, warning about dangerous rip currents over the next several days. New York City closing its beaches to swimmers for the next 2 days. Ginger Zee with the track in a moment, but first, ABC's Victor Oquendo leads us off in North Carolina.
Tonight, churning waves and double red flags. Alerts from Florida to Massachusetts. Erin now making that northward turn up the East Coast. Mandatory evacuations in effect for the Outer Banks, where Erin's surge plus high tide could leave residents and visitors stranded.
We're right along Highway 12. This is the main artery in the Outer Banks. It's common for waves to come crashing up over this dune and flood the highway. So what this front end loader is doing is pushing up some of that sand to try to fortify the dune.
John Betzker moved here from New Jersey 3 months ago. His family was supposed to come visit him this week.
When this alarm came, those plans got canceled. So I decided it's just better to go home and visit them for a while and come back when it's all over.
After more than 60 people were rescued off Wrightsville Beach Monday, authorities restricting swimming. Many more towns following suit. Air Force hurricane hunters tracking Erin, throwing ocean buoys out of a C-130 to gather data. The massive system expanding, now more than 600 miles across. Those outer bands will lash the coast with tropical storm force winds up to 4 feet of storm surge and waves up to 20 feet.
If a large wave knocks you off your feet, it will take you out into the water and potentially out past that shore break. And if you get far enough into the trough, it can pull you out past the bar.
On the Jersey Shore, where there have been multiple drownings already this summer, the governor is worried.
This is no time to be complacent. I would just say to you flat out, don't go in the water.
Mary, here in Kill Devil Hills, the red flags are up and the surf is definitely getting stronger. Swells at about 3 to 5 feet right now, but come Wednesday into Thursday, could be up to 20 feet with a dangerous mix of high surf and high tides. It's going to be ugly. North Carolina's governor has declared a state of emergency. Mary?
We see those large waves growing behind you. Victor, stay safe there. Thank you. The latest track for Hurricane Erin coming out a short time ago, and 2 other systems are now beginning to take shape. So let's get right to ABC's chief meteorologist, Ginger Zee. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, Mary, Erin is about 600 miles south-southeast of Cape Hatteras. It's moving north-northwest at 10 miles per hour, so it's closing in. And by tomorrow, you'll start to see those tropical storm force winds from south to north. Those tropical storm watches now include parts of Delmarva Peninsula to Virginia Beach. I want to time it because the closest it gets happens on Thursday morning. You can see it here on the Futurecast. But why we believe in have the entire time that it will then kick off to the north and east is partly because of that stationary front. It's going to ride close enough to the coast, though, that it's like a bulldozer pushing water, even when it's at some points hundreds of miles from the shore. And that's why we have the high rip current risk, the destructive waves for the entire coast. And coastal flood alerts are already popping, too. We will be done with the storm by the time the weekend's over. But let me focus in on ground zero, and that's the Outer Banks, where you'll see those 15 to 20 plus foot waves. They're using really strong wording: extreme beach and coastal damage, roads impassable, prolonged periods of time. You can see there 8 to 12 foot waves are possible, not just on the south side of there, but also from the Jersey Shore. Erosion possible up through Long Island, Rhode Island, even Nantucket. And I do want to mention there are those 2 waves we're watching, a very busy Atlantic as we're still on the ride up toward peak of hurricane September 10th. The next name, Mary, is Fernan.
And we know you'll be watching those closely as well. Ginger, thank you. Tonight, dramatic images coming in. First responders remain on the scene of a large explosion and fire in North Carolina. Smoke shooting thousands of feet in the air, debris raining down. Multiple firefighters injured responding to reports of a gas leak. Firefighters inside that building when the blast occurred. Here's ABC's Faith Abube.
This is the moment a building in North Carolina exploded with 3 firefighters trapped inside.
Oh my God.
The violent blast rocking this Wilmington neighborhood, shooting debris into the sky. A thick plume of smoke towering above the city.
There's a lot of debris behind us. There's debris in the parking lot next to us. There's kind of debris everywhere.
Officials say 1 firefighter suffered severe burns to the arm and hands. The other 2 are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
They did call a mayday after the explosion, and so they were able to extricate out of the building after that.
The crew was inside the building responding to a call about a gas leak after police say a driver ran off the road and struck a nearby gas line.
When officers arrived, the vehicle was gone, so it was a hit and run. There was evidence that would lead one to believe that the driver was impaired.
And Mary, police have now arrested the hit-and-run driver. He is being held on multiple charges, including driving while impaired and causing serious injury. Mary.
Just a remarkable scene there. Faith, thank you. Next tonight, 24 hours after that extraordinary White House summit involving Ukraine's President Zelensky and European allies, President Trump is now vowing when it comes to guaranteeing Ukraine's security, there will be no American troops on the ground as Russian forces hammer away at Ukrainian targets. The White House today pressed on whether President Putin has agreed to meet with Zelensky. ABC's Rachel Scott at the White House.
Tonight, President Trump says any effort to protect a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine will not involve American boots on the ground. It comes after he promised Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky the U.S. would provide security guarantees in case Russia invades again.
Would that involve U.S. troops? Would you rule that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Today, President Trump saying the U.S. could help with air support in the skies, but ruled out the idea of American troops on the ground.
What kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance. You're not president.
The president says he got Zelensky and Putin to agree to sit down one-on-one. A hot mic caught him telling French President Emmanuel Macron he thinks Putin wants to make a deal for him.
I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds.
The president says he wants the meeting between Putin and Zelensky to happen quickly. The White House insisting he doesn't want to wait another month. But Russia still hasn't confirmed Putin is on board. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov pointing to a lengthy process, saying any meeting, quote, must be prepared with the utmost care, step by step, gradually, starting at the expert level and then moving on to all the necessary stages. Meanwhile, Russia continues to pound Ukraine with a barrage of deadly drone attacks. Today, I asked the White House why the president is convinced that Putin actually wants to come to the table.
What indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have this meeting with Zelensky soon?
Because he spoke to him directly yesterday.
Reporters then pressing about that phone call.
Did he agree to have a sit down with just Zelensky on the phone?
I can assure you that the United States government and the Trump administration is working with both Russia and Ukraine to make that bilateral happen as we speak.
Asking once again.
Did Putin promise to do a meeting with Zelensky, a direct meeting, in the coming weeks?
He has.
But tonight, Russia is not saying as much. And though President Trump wants a meeting soon, right now, there's no indication of when or even if it will happen.
And right now, there is so much riding on President Trump's relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. European leaders want Trump to pressure Putin to agree to a ceasefire, but that is not something that the Russian leader wants. And so tonight, the fighting continues, Mary.
And as you note, so much of this coming down to Trump's relationship with Putin. Rachel, thank you. Now to an alarming story unfolding in Southern California. Authorities say a mother who frantically reported her 7-month-old baby had been kidnapped outside a store has now stopped cooperating with police. Investigators now raising questions about inconsistencies in her story. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, that urgent search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro after police say they found inconsistencies in his mother's claim that he was kidnapped from this Big 5 parking lot in San Bernardino County, California, 5 days ago. Rebecca Haro breaking down before the cameras as she described being attacked from behind as she changed her son's diaper in the backseat of her truck.
And I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white. And a hearing sound, I fell on the floor.
The mother of 5 says she was knocked unconscious and suffered this black eye.
And I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked around my truck.
Both parents pleading for Emmanuel's return.
Please give him back.
Just give him back to me again. Please don't harm my son. Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, please.
Police have executed multiple search warrants at the family home after they say the mother stopped cooperating when confronted with inconsistencies in her story. And court records show the baby's father had pleaded guilty in 2023 to a charge of willful child cruelty. Mary, the sheriffs tell me this is still very much an active investigation to try to find baby Emmanuel. They say they have many deputies in the field, but they're also reviewing a significant amount of surveillance footage. At this point, this is still a missing persons case. Mary.
Thank you. We move on now to President Trump declaring he's ordered a review of the Smithsonian museums and the American history on display. The president targeting what he calls woke exhibits, saying museums should focus more on America's, quote, brightness and not on, quote, how bad slavery was. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jon Karl.
Tonight, President Trump announced he has instructed his lawyers to scour through America's museums to rid them of exhibits he calls woke. Specifically, Trump cited the Smithsonian museums, saying they are, quote, out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Back in March, the president signed an executive order directing the Smithsonian Institution, which runs more than 20 museums in Washington and elsewhere, to, quote, celebrate American exceptionalism and remove divisive or partisan narratives. Last month, the Smithsonian removed references to Trump in an exhibit on presidential impeachments in the Museum of American History. Mentions of Trump's impeachments were later restored, although with changes. Now he's complaining about exhibits on slavery.
What do you think of the museum, Mr. President?
Oh my God. Honestly, it's fantastic. During his first term, Trump visited the Museum of African American History and Culture, which tells the story of slavery and celebrates African American accomplishments. Back then, he called it a, quote, truly great museum done with love.
This tour is a meaningful reminder of why we have to fight bigotry, intolerance, and hatred in all of its very ugly forms.
Even before Trump's comments today, the American Alliance of Museums said that no president has the power to impose the kind of review that Trump is demanding. The organization warned that Trump's actions, quote, represent a growing threat of censorship to museums in the United States. Mary?
Lots of questions about where this goes from here. John, thank you. News tonight about the American economy, prices, and jobs. Home Depot revealing plans to raise some prices because of President Trump's tariffs. Executives announcing the decision after quarterly sales reports came in lower than expected. And John Deere says it will lay off more than 230 employees at 3 factories because the demand for equipment is down, calling it, quote, a challenging time for many farmers. And when we come back, the urgent manhunt in Colorado for a suspect in the stabbing of a park ranger. That ranger now out of surgery. 2 influencers are thankful to be alive tonight after a violent crash. They were just starting their show when an SUV slammed into a Houston restaurant. And chaos in the sand. A dust devil ruins a perfect day at a beach in New York State. Next tonight, authorities are combing a state park near Denver, searching for a suspect that stabbed a park ranger. The ranger was rushed to the hospital and is now in serious condition. Authorities say the suspect fled on foot. They say he should be considered armed and dangerous. And new concerns tonight after a 5th death linked to the Legionnaires' disease outbreak in Manhattan. 108 cases have been confirmed in the past few weeks. 14 people are currently hospitalized. The outbreak has been linked to cooling towers in several buildings. And when we come back, the urgent FDA warning: some shrimp sold at Walmart may be contaminated with radioactive isotopes. And a dust devil tears through a New York State beach. Terrified beachgoers running for cover. To the index now, and a terrifying scene at a New York State beach. A sudden and unexpected dust devil sending people running for cover on Thursday. Kids can be heard screaming, at least one umbrella sent dangerously flying. A day later, another dust devil ripping across a field in another part of upstate New York. And a seriously close call at a Houston restaurant. A driver crashing an SUV through the window of the building just as a pair of food influencers were filming a show and about to dig in. The 2 receiving minor injuries, saying they feel lucky to be alive. The FDA tonight is warning consumers not to eat certain shrimp sold at Walmart that may be radioactive. The shrimp were sold under the Great Value brand and have a best-by date of March 15, 2027. The FDA says they could contain a radioactive isotope and is telling consumers to throw them away. An investigation is now underway. And when we come back, the lost wallet and the kindness of a stranger. Finally tonight, lost then found thanks to the kindness of a stranger. Tonight in Lake Crystal, Minnesota, southwest of Minneapolis, an unbelievable find and incredible act of kindness. Mechanic Chad Volk was hard at work doing repairs on a 2015 Ford SUV, 151,000 miles on it, when he discovered a piece of its past under the hood.
So I went to set the air cleaner in it, and it wouldn't snap down in the place where it's supposed to be.
Stuck in the engine, an old wallet.
The wallet was sitting on a little ledge.
Then came the search for its owner. A clue inside the wallet, a Ford employee ID card.
Got on Facebook and started scrolling through Facebook to try to find the owner. And lo and behold, I found Richard.
Chad found Richard Guilford. 11 years ago, Richard working on the Ford assembly line in Wayne, Michigan, building that SUV. One day at work, he lost his wallet, a Christmas gift from his family.
We looked for it. We looked the next day for it. Nobody could find it.
He figured it was long gone until Chad reached out.
He said, "Did you lose your wallet years ago? If so, I found it in an engine bay of a car." I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "Would you be willing to send that to me?"
Chad, happy to help.
Think how hot that transmission got with that wallet. It spent 11 years riding around in that car.
Tonight, Richard, grateful.
It restores your faith in humanity, that people will say, "Hey, you lost this, I found this. I'm going to get it back to you."
And a good reminder to check under that hood. Thank you for watching. I'm Mary Bruce. For David and all of us here, have a good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the third year in a row.